Hello, 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 Wings of Wisdom listening audience and Virginia's virtual viewers. We have the none other than Karen Thomas, and I am calling her the triangle effect. She has a lot of irons in the fire. She has a MLM mastery, which she was able to reach the million, I should say surpass the $1 million mark. And she also has this entrepreneur coaching arena. And she's going to dive deep on that. But her greatest pride, beyond her professionalism, is the ability to help her two, not one, but two special needs daughters. And they are remarkable, independent women now. She helps develop not just her family, but others who want to cross over the obstacles in their life through her coaching programs. So I want you, Miss Karen Thomas, to give a brief background on your bio and just speak to Virginia's virtual viewers how you can help them basically if they are interested in having their own home-based business or tackling the MLM, multi-level marketing industry.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Virginia. I've been so impressed with all that you shine and bring a light with the people that you have your viewers meeting. It's been phenomenal. I am honored to be here. Being in an MLM, running your own business, it really doesn't matter whether it's an opportunity that you're selling something or you're offering a service. They all give you a chance to work outside of punching somebody else's time clock. When you punch somebody else's time clock, you are on a fixed income. Now, a lot of us think of a fixed income as being when you're a senior citizen, right? But fixed incomes are actually how many hours can you work a day that you can get paid for? How many days a week? How many weeks a month? How much work can you put in to make an income? That is a fixed income. When you are an entrepreneur and you are working your own hours, your pay might vary from $1 an hour to hundreds and hundreds of dollars an hour. Just depends on what your thermometer of success is. Because we all have a level of what we believe we are worth. And whether you are working a 9-to-5 job or you're wanting to step out and create your own thing, how you value yourself is the ceiling and the depth of how much you can make in any kind of entrepreneurship. It took me years and years and struggles after struggles to truly understand that when we don't value ourselves, and we as women are not taught to value ourselves, we are really only taught to nurture and to do as we're told, pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And until you are put in a situation like I was, my first daughter, my first baby, I had a perfect pregnancy, and she came out C-section because I spent 3 days trying to birth her, and she didn't want to come out or couldn't come out because she had a birth defect called spina bifida. Mm. And when you're put in the arena of all those surgeries and all the doctors and all the prognosis and all of the things, and you're a brand new mom and you had all these ideas of how life was supposed to be and how you were going to have this baby to play with and do things with, and then life changes in a heartbeat. And you have to figure out how to change with it. So it's imperative that whether you want to work for somebody else or you're an entrepreneur, you have to learn how to step outside of your norms, outside of the box that we're painted into what life is supposed to look like. Because nowadays, life can look different. in a moment's notice.
Wow. Can you share just a few key strategies that helped you consistently achieve, that $1 million sales mark in the MLM industry?
Well, I didn't go after the million. I went after trying to get as many orders as I could every, Avon rotated every 2 weeks, and every 2 weeks I ordered stuff for people, and I was all about trying to keep doubling my business every year. You can't look at the big picture. You look at what do I need? How much money every month do I need? How much money do I need for this week? And then you say, okay, if I need $100 this week, I have to sell $300 worth of Avon to have that $100.
So you were always looking at the end of the goal first and working your way back.
Well, you start just trying to get out and find customers. You work into looking at where you're going and working backwards. In today's businesses, if I had to start over again, I'd be looking at where do I want to end up and working backwards. That is the main trick to all of it. When I first started, I didn't know that. I just, I went back to sales when I lost my job because I always was top candy salesperson, top fundraiser. Whatever fundraising we were doing for going on whatever trip at school, I was top person. Mom didn't have money to put in, and top person got to go for free, right? Looking for that free, right? So I went back to all I knew, and I said, Avon lady, everybody loves the Avon lady. I didn't have to convince anybody about what Avon was. I just had to find people who were looking for somebody to buy it from.
Yes. Well, what or who inspired you to make the shift? I know you're actually still doing Avon, but to become an advocate for self-development, both personally and professionally.
Because I always felt broken. When my youngest daughter was in I want to say first or second grade, maybe it was even kindergarten, they started wanting me to get her tested. I always knew she was a mini me. She was just like me. I'm like, I already know her struggles for school. But I was going through back surgery with my oldest daughter, and so I had to put it off. But when we finally got my youngest daughter tested, she, just like the teachers thought, was ADHD. And now I had a label for what I was. I always just felt broken. I started doing self-development because in doing sales, I had to make money. So in self-development, I started with how to do sales better. Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins, Dale Carnegie. I started learning how to do sales first. I wanted to know all the strategies, the psychology of selling. I just started saying, I don't have a choice. I can't go get a job because what job wants to hire you when you have to have off, twice a month for clinics, and you have these doctor's appointments, and you have that. You can't. So I had to start learning how to make money from home. I never planned to stay home with my children. It was not my dream. I liked working in the office. I liked being the little, secretary. I was just this little administrative assistant, and I loved being the secondhand man there with the executive. But that wasn't what God had in mind for me. He said, he said, no, you're going to raise these children to be exemplarily amazing, outstanding, independent women. And that's what I did. That was my first goal. You see, the goal wasn't how much money to make. My goal was how to fund and do the things to raise my children.
Wow. Tell me this, what advice would you give that new entrepreneur who is just beginning their journey in a home-based business? Is there a specific advice in the beginning when they're struggling, trying to get over these hurdles?
The biggest, today's world is different than when my girls were little. I mean, I just posted today on my in my group, because I have a Summit Seekers group, and showing pictures of my kids when they were little, and then ones when my youngest got married, because my oldest is getting married this in about 10 days, and she's going to be 42. So back when my kids were little and I was going through this, it was a whole different sellings world. We didn't have the internet, or we did. It was not for business so much like for sales, for MLM. There just wasn't anything. You were still doing things person to person, belly to belly, knocking on doors. I knocked on doors. Today is a different world. What I would suggest today, because what companies want you to do is advertise for them. Companies want you to be the Avon lady. They want you to be the Scentsy lady. They want you to be the Tupperware lady. They want you to be the Rodans and Fields lady. They want you to be their representative. The problem with that is if the company goes under, how many companies have gone out of business since in my short little lifetime? We've lost Home Interiors. We've lost Advocare. We've lost, even Herbalife was taken down by the FTC. Companies go out of business all the time. So you have to build your business with you being the product. You just happen to represent Tupperware or Scentsy or whatever the business is. Because when you brand yourself and people get to like and know you and trust you, that's who they're going to buy from, you, because they know, like, and trust you. Then you don't have to keep it just to Tupperware or Scentsy. Then you can be the person who recommends stuff to them. You can have multiple streams of income, because every millionaire out there has more than a dozen streams of income. They don't do just one business. And we women, we want to get stuck in, this is what I do, this is who I am, and buy from me. Buy from me.
Yes, you are so right. You named the big boys, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins. So to me, that says coaching was your key. You didn't actually go to them to get the coaching, but you really went to them to get the coaching because
I
they had
did.
the materials, and the coaching is the key. So tell me this, in this ever evolving entrepreneur endeavor, how do you help your coaching clients maintain a positive mindset so they'll be able to be resilient, when they're struggling with the obstacles or challenges that may happen?
We start with their limiting beliefs. Because when you start with the limiting beliefs, which is what my whole Take My Quiz is about. My quiz is about your success thermometer. And you can only be as successful as you believe in yourself. So finding out how many limiting beliefs you have is key, because then you can find out what areas you need to work on to make yourself stronger. None of us is perfect, and none of us is ever going to be at the top and say, oh, I'm done. We're not ever done. Because as soon as you're successful in one area, like when I was at the top and selling $150,000 worth of Avon, I was king, queen of everything. My husband at the time called me a distributor, not the Avon lady. But my daughter had back surgery that went really, really wrong, and I had to shut down my business. I said, God gave me my children first. She almost died. And so I shut it down, and then I became nothing. Then I had no business. I was lower than low, because I had to start over. And I'm like, what do I do? And when I got I went and I had to get a job, because I no longer had a business. It hadn't been for my mother, and we were all living together, being the support. I was able, it was tough going for the 2 years it took me to get her well again. And I went to work, but I went back to Avon because people loved Avon, and they didn't have an Avon lady at the place I was working. And so I got back into Avon, and then I left there and I started building the business again. And I built Avon 4 different times, because life happens. Life goes up, life goes down, life goes up, life goes down.
Wow.
Picking yourself back up the floor every time that life takes its turn and knocks your feet out from under you is part of the limiting beliefs. Believing in yourself enough and learning that you are perfect just the way you are, but you have to start accepting the magnificence of who you are and who God made you.
Yes.
Because God didn't make us broken. God made us perfect. But all the junk that we let the world tell us about, and most of it came from when we were little. We haven't shed all of that stuff from when we were little. The biggest thing is people don't understand when we're infants, we coo over babies and we make over babies, and then we think that they're just wonderful. And babies come into this world thinking, oh, everybody's here to serve me. And then you start walking and you start talking, and then all of a sudden the baby hears one day, no, don't do that. Don't touch that. Don't go there. Don't be that. You better stop crying, or I'm going to give you something to cry about. We start getting all of this noise saying, oh my God, love's conditional. I'm not good enough anymore. I'm not able to, well, mommy doesn't love me anymore. We start hearing this. And to the degree that most of us go through childhood, we, even as parents, I didn't understand all of this, and I wish I could have been a better parent. But the thing is most people can shed it to the degree that their parents shine on them and empower them and believe in them and build them up and let them know. But if you have parents who didn't believe in you, if you had parents, my mother, and I'm talking from experience because my mother grew up Hungarian, old school, came over from Hungary through Ellis Island, Statue of Liberty, the whole thing. But they were stoic women. There was no cuddly. There was no loving on each other. My mom to this day says, I never ever saw my mom and dad ever kiss. They didn't learn. There was none of that love shown on a daily basis. So my mom didn't know how to show it to me. I grew up, I knew I was loved. I was prayed into existence. But the thing is my mom, I knew she loved me. She wanted me. I was told that all my life, but she did not know how to show me love. I decided I was going to do different for my children. I loved all of my children. I held them, I cuddled them, and I made over them. Still was a strict parent because that's what strict is part of what we did. But I made the choice to change how I wanted to parent my kids.
It's a choice, ladies and gentlemen. It's a choice to change. And Wings of Wisdom is built on biblical principles. And in Proverbs 18:16, it says, a man's gift make room for him. So I know that there's a gift in each one of us. And your gift is actually pulling those nuggets out of those individuals who have these limited beliefs and altering their mindset with your quiz. I've actually taken Take My Quiz today, and it does shape your mind to see exactly where you are. So this is complimentary. Virtual viewers, listening audience, you can go to takemyquiz.today and find out if you have these limiting beliefs that is bounding you and keeping you from moving forward. But can you describe how your approach to mentoring actually supports entrepreneurs on their journey?
Well, because I'm all about branding, entrepreneurs, especially women, we're not brought up to toot our own horn. Boys are put into sports. They're encouraged to take the lead. We as women aren't. And with learning to brand yourself and learning to put yourself out there as you being the product, the biggest thing I help my clients do is to take ownership of the things that they are good at and the things that they believe in and be proud. And not to back down. But if you were raised that you don't talk about these things, or you think things are, sinful, or if you think that you are limited, or what people think about you is important, then it's going to hold you back. you being and claiming the amazing person and soul that God created. You are not a soul, or you are not a body with a soul. You are a soul with a body.
Yes, I could feel the passion, ladies and gentlemen. I can feel the passion. And I know you have a passion for supporting entrepreneurs, and it extends to a weekly chat. So emphasize on that, your weekly chat, how that discussion is. And we're going to get one more golden nugget for our audience.
Okay. My group is it's called Summit Seekers. It's a tribe of Summit Seekers, because when we are trying to better ourselves or better our businesses, we are walking uphill. So my chat we have a chat every week, and whoever can come in, and then we just talk about different topics, and I get points of view from every person that shows up for the chat. So if we're tackling, customer service, or we're tackling about how to get, rid of some of these limiting beliefs, or tackling maybe a branding problem or a Facebook problem, whatever the discussion turns up being that day. Now, this coming Thursday, I've put out there that we're going to talk about Facebook marketing, because so many people don't know how to do it properly. And they're turning people off. They're wondering why people aren't buying from them. And they're really not setting their Facebook up properly for moving their business. So we just take on different aspects of being a business, a wife, or a husband, or the family, how to balance it. We'll talk about anything, whatever comes up. And if nothing comes up that my community wants to talk about, then I'll find something. Lord knows there's enough limiting beliefs. All I have to do is tackle one.
Yes, it's so powerful. So Wings of Wisdom listening audience, we're so excited that you are here. And if you found any golden nuggets in this, I want you to actually share the broadcast. And also I want you to, Karen, tell them any other way they can connect with you. I know you want them to take myquiztoday.com.
That's it.
Any other method? That's the main method, right?
Well, that's the main way to start bettering yourself. Find out what level you are with your limiting beliefs. The second is I have a YouTube channel, and it is, of course, www.youtube.com. And then the / the @ because everything with YouTube is at, and a better life is a choice. I'm all about a better life is a choice. Whether you want a better relationship with your family, your husband, your work, you need to lose weight, you want a better relationship with yourself. A better life is a choice. And so my YouTube channel is another way to connect with me.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, now is the time to share on your electronic toys. So if you want to give Virginia's virtual viewers and Wings of Wisdom listening audience one last golden nugget, they are leaning in. And I'm so glad you was able to just take the time out. And I am looking forward to connecting with you soon on the beach.
Oh. On the beach, exactly. You're coming to my town. I can't wait. I am so honored, and I thank all of you for listening. And I have, if you visit to my Facebook, I am Karen Anderson Thomas on Facebook. I give away a free, 30-minute strategy or a free consultation. So whether you access my free one through my YouTube or through my Facebook. I'm on Instagram, A Better Life is a Choice. Would love to talk to you.
Thank you, audience, for listening in, and have a wonderful Wednesday. And I hope to see you on the next episode. Have a wonderful day.